understand debt and treat it as it should be. Debt is dangerous, whether it's bad debt or good debt, but that good debt can turn around and become bad very quickly, which is why if you're going to use debt, that's fine. Nothing wrong with it. Use debt if you want to help grow your investments, to grow your businesses, to do whatever it is that you want to do, as long as you understand the risk, but understand that it can be very bad. And you want to be very careful with that debt and treat it as it is, which is it's debt. And it can turn around very quickly because people can get high on this debt. Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. And you see this especially in real estate. I've seen this many times in real estate, which is why I'm focusing on real estate, because people can get high off of that good debt, especially when the economy is booming, especially when property values are rising. You start to buy properties, refinance out, pull out your cash, pull out more cash, buy another property, do it again and again and again and again. And now you have this large portfolio of properties very over leveraged. Now, this can make people very rich when you do it the right way. But when you get greedy and you start using too much of the good debt, and now you start having all the nice things, right? You start having all the toys. You got to have the nice car because you're a great real estate investor. You got to have a big home because you're a big real estate investor. You got to have the nice vacations because, you're a big real estate investor. And you're using all this good debt. Well, when things turn around, because the reality is nothing can go up forever, things will turn around. You have up periods and down periods. The first person to lose their shirt are the people that have way too much good debt. So yeah, there is bad debt. Bad debt is when you use it to go out and finance things that don't make you any money. Your credit card debt is bad debt. Your buy now, pay later debt is bad debt. Your car payments are bad debt. That good debt might be making you some money, but that good debt can turn around and be bad just as fast. And this is where now understanding that cautiousness, that some debt can make you money. Some debt can increase your wealth, but that doesn't make it good. You still got to treat it with caution because that good debt can turn around and become bad just as quickly if you do not watch it carefully. And that's where you want to be very careful with the amount of debt that you use and how you're using debt, because obviously no more financing things that don't pay you, that aren't making you any money, that you do not need, period. No more financing the consumer liabilities, no more financing those consumer goods, period. Should you finance some of your investments? Sure. It can make you a lot more money. It can amplify your wealth. It can allow you to grow a lot faster. Nothing wrong with that. Use it. But treat it as it should be. Treat it with caution. Understand that debt is not to be played with. It is fire, and it can burn you just as fast as it grew you if you do not treat it with that caution. Now, this is where it pays also to understand how all of this ties together with what's happening in our economy right now, because we're seeing a big shift in the debt culture. The United States of America is facing the highest debt levels that we have ever seen, and now this bubble is starting to shift. Our national debt, the United States government is approaching $32 trillion worth of national debt. And then if you look at our corporate debt levels are hitting also brand new record highs. And then if you look at household debt levels broke a brand new record in 2023. What's interesting is that debt levels really ballooned in 2020 and 2021 when we saw the lowest interest rates ever. When we saw those lowest interest rates ever, everybody wanted to take advantage of this cheap debt. We saw people who wanted to go into debt, buy a new home, buy a car. People wanted to take advantage of this debt. Businesses wanted to take advantage of this debt. That way they could grow and expand. So businesses loaded up on this cheap debt, and even our government loaded up on this cheap debt. You could see this through treasury bonds, treasury notes. The government started spending way more money. So even our government started loading up on all this cheap debt in 2020 and 2021, which exploded the debt bubble. It boomed to the biggest levels we have ever seen. Well, starting in 2022, the debt environment really started to change when the Federal Reserve Bank started to raise interest rates. And in less than 18 months, the Federal Reserve Bank, or central bank here in the United States, raised interest rates from 0% to over 5%, which is some of the fastest growth that we've ever seen in interest rates. Now, the reason why these higher interest rates matter for the debt levels that we have is because most debt is not a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. If you went out and you bought a home and you got a mortgage for 2.5% and you locked it in for 30 years, it does not matter what happens to interest rates because you are going to be paying 2.5% for those 30 years unless you refinance. But if you don't refinance, you're locked in at 2.5%. Well, most debt is not a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. For example, our national debt, our government debt is not a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. A lot of our national debt readjusts in 1 year, in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, which means that every year now, the government has to pay more money in interest on the debt that it has because number one, it has a lot of debt, and number two, the interest rates have gone up so significantly. That's why we've been seeing the national payments, the debt interest payments from our government skyrocket over the last number of years. If you enjoyed this short clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to start generating passive income, our team put together an amazing guide on how to start generating passive income for free. All you got to do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.